The massive alien ship dropped out of hyperspace like a silver mountain appearing in the void. Its hull gleamed under the distant sun as it drifted toward the outer edge of the solar system. The vessel was beautiful in a way that human eyes had never seen before. Smooth curves flowed along its surface like water frozen in time. Strange symbols pulsed with soft blue light across its sides. Captain Li Wu stood on the bridge of Luna Station watching the approach on his main screen. His dark eyes stayed calm, but his hands gripped the rail tighter than usual. This was the day humanity had been preparing for without knowing when it would come. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet focus. "Size estimate, Commander Park Jin," Li Wu asked without turning around. Park Jin looked up from his scanner readings. His young face showed excitement mixed with worry. 2 kilometers long, Captain. Energy readings are off our charts. Whatever. Powers, that thing is way beyond our public technology. Dr. Kim Bio moved to stand beside the captain. Her science uniform was crisp and her voice steady despite the historic moment. The energy signature matches theoretical models for antimatter containment. They have power systems we can only dream about in our official records. The alien ship came to a stop just outside the orbit of Pluto. It hung there in space like a waiting predator. Then the communication systems across Luna Station came alive with sounds no human had ever heard before. The voice that came through the speakers was musical and strange. It spoke in perfect English, though the accent was like nothing from Earth. "Greetings, people of the third planet. We are representatives of the Galactic Federation. We come in peace-seeking dialogue with your species." Li Wu nodded to his communications. "Officer, Lieutenant Choi Min was one of their best." Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she opened a channel back to the alien ship. "This is Captain Li Wu of the Luna Defense Station. We welcome you to our solar system. What brings you so far from home?" "We have been watching your species for many years, Captain. Li Wu, your rapid advancement and unique problem-solving abilities have caught our attention. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Therian Collective. We represent 12 different species within the Federation. We believe humanity is ready to join the greater galactic community." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of equipment. Every human present understood they were living through the most important moment in their species' history. First contact with alien life was no longer science fiction. Dr. Kim Bio stepped forward. "Ambassador Veltar, we are honored by your visit. What would membership in this federation mean for humanity?" The alien voice carried what sounded like satisfaction. "Your species would gain access to technologies beyond your current understanding. Faster than light travel that could take you to distant stars in days rather than years. Medical advances that could extend human life by centuries. Energy sources that could power your entire civilization without harming your beautiful world." "Commander." Park Jin exchanged a quick look with Captain Li Wu. Both men had been briefed on protocols for this exact situation. Humanity had plans within plans for alien contact. What the aliens were offering sounded wonderful, but experience taught that nothing was ever free in the universe. "What would be expected of humanity in return?" Li Wu asked carefully. "Simply that you demonstrate your species deserves such gifts," Ambassador Veltar replied. "New civilizations must undergo a trial period. You would need to show your technological capabilities and peaceful intentions. Most species find this process enlightening." Dr. Kim Bio made notes on her tablet while listening. Her scientific mind was already analyzing every word. The Federation had done this before many times. They had protocols and procedures. This was routine for them, even if it was revolutionary for humanity. "How long would this trial period last?" she asked. "That depends entirely on your species' performance, Dr. Kim Bio. Some civilizations complete their evaluation in months. Others require years. A few exceptional species have impressed us so quickly that full membership was granted in mere weeks." Lieutenant Choi Min, monitoring her instruments, noticed something interesting. The alien ship was conducting passive scans of Luna Station and the surrounding space. They were being polite about it, but they were definitely gathering intelligence. She made subtle hand signals to alert Captain Li Wu. We would need time to consult with our leadership, Li Wu said. This decision affects all of humanity, not just those of us in space. Of course, Captain. We understand the magnitude of this moment for your species. Take all the time you need within reason. We will remain here at the edge of your system while you deliberate. However, I should mention that the Federation Council is eager to begin the evaluation process. Opportunities like this do not wait forever. The subtle threat was not lost on anyone present. Join now or miss the chance entirely. It was a classic negotiation tactic that humans understood very well after the communication ended. The bridge crew looked to their captain for guidance. Li Wu stared at the image of the alien ship on his screen. It looked so peaceful floating there in the darkness. But appearances could deceive, especially when dealing with unknown species. Park Jin sent a coded message to Earth Command. Use. Protocol 7, the captain ordered. Protocol 7 was one of the most classified communication procedures in the human military. It would alert Earth that first contact had been made and that the situation required the highest level response. Within hours, every major leader on Earth would know that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Dr. Kimbio continued studying her readings from the alien vessel. Captain, their ship design suggests they prioritize efficiency over military capability. The hull configurations are optimized for space travel, not combat. Or they want us to think that, Commander Park Jin added quietly. Lieutenant Choi Min looked up from her station with concern on her face. Captain, I am detecting additional ships approaching from hyperspace. They are staying at maximum scanner range, but there are at least 6 more vessels out there. Li Wu nodded grimly. The Federation had not come alone. Whether those ships were escorts or an invasion fleet remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge ever, and everything would depend on how well they had prepared for this moment. The die was cast and the game had begun. 3 days passed since the alien ships arrived at the edge of human space. The Galactic Federation vessels remained in their positions while humanity appeared to consider the diplomatic offer. What the aliens did not know was that every moment of delay served human purposes perfectly. Lieutenant Choi Min sat in her monitoring station deep within Luna Station. Her screen showed the movement of every Federation ship in the system. The aliens thought they were being careful with their reconnaissance, but human sensors were far more advanced than they appeared. She watched as alien scout ships moved through the outer planets, taking readings and mapping human installations. They are scanning Mars colony again, she reported to Commander Park Jin, who stood behind her chair. 3rd pass in 2 days. They seem very interested in our mining operations. Park Jin nodded while studying the tactical display. The aliens were following a predictable pattern. They wanted to understand human industrial capacity and military strength before making their real intentions known. What they saw was exactly what humanity wanted them to see. On Mars, the aliens observed basic mining equipment and simple defensive platforms. The colony appeared to struggle with the harsh environment using primitive life support systems. Solar panels and wind generators provided barely enough power for the small population. Everything looked exactly like a young civilization taking its first steps into space. But beneath the Martian surface, Admiral Han Sol worked in facilities that would have shocked the alien observers. The underground complex stretched for kilometers in every direction. Advanced manufacturing systems built weapons and ships using technologies that surpassed Federation science by centuries. The mining operations on the surface were real, but they fed raw materials to hidden factories below. Admiral Han Sol was humanity's greatest military mind. Her gray hair and lined face showed decades of experience preparing for this exact moment. She stood before a massive holographic display showing the true human military assets scattered throughout the solar system. Each dot of light represented firepower that could destroy entire fleets. Status report from all sections, she commanded. Major Yunhei stepped forward with his datapad. His young features showed the intensity of someone carrying great responsibility. All stealth installations report ready, Admiral. The aliens have detected none of our primary defensive positions. Their scans show only the decoy facilities we prepared for them. Dr. Yang Su approached from her workstation where she had been analyzing intercepted alien communications. Her scientific background made her perfect for understanding Federation technology and intentions. Admiral, I have troubling news about our visitors. Their historical records show a pattern we need to discuss. The room fell quiet as everyone focused on the xenobiologist. Dr. Yang Su had spent years studying every piece of alien communication humanity had intercepted over the decades. Her analysis would determine how humanity responded to the Federation offer. The Galactic Federation has contacted 47 civilizations in the past 2 centuries, she began. Every single contact followed the same pattern. First comes peaceful diplomacy, then a trial period to test the new species. Finally, absorption into the Federation as a client state. Admiral Han Sol leaned forward with interest. What happened to species that refused their offer? There are no records of any species refusing, Admiral. The Federation has perfected a system that makes refusal impossible. They offer technologies no civilization can resist. Then they use economic dependence to control every aspect of the client species development. Major Yunhei looked concerned as he processed this information. So they are not really offering partnership. They want to make us dependent on their technology so they can control us. Exactly, Major. Once a species accepts Federation technology, they lose the ability to advance independently. They become permanent junior partners serving Federation interests. Dr. Yang Su pulled up holographic displays showing the fate of previous civilizations. The images were disturbing. Proud warrior races reduced to providing raw materials for Federation industries. Scientific civilizations forced to work on projects they could never fully understand. Entire species trapped in technological dependence that lasted for generations. Admiral Hansel studied the displays with cold calculation. How long do we have before they become suspicious of our delays? Federation protocols suggest they will wait 1 more week before applying pressure, Dr. Yang Su replied. After that, they will begin demonstrating their superior technology to encourage acceptance. Perfect, the Admiral said with a thin smile. That gives us time to complete final preparations. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Osung prepared the most visible part of humanity's deception. His fleet of defensive ships looked like they had been built from scavenged materials and desperate innovation. Hulls showed obvious repair work and weapon systems appeared to be barely functional. Everything about his ships suggested a species struggling to defend itself with inadequate resources. But Captain Osung was one of humanity's finest tactical minds. His seemingly ramshackle fleet incorporated stealth systems and defensive technologies that Federation sensors could not detect. The apparent weakness was carefully constructed to hide revolutionary advances in material science and energy manipulation. Oh. Ships report ready for theater operations, his communications officer announced. The aliens have logged our defensive positions and marked us as minimal threat. Captain Osung nodded with satisfaction. Excellent. Make sure all crews understand their roles. When the time comes, we need to look desperate but competent, struggling but determined. They need to believe we are doing our best with primitive technology. Back on Luna Station, Captain Li Wu received the daily intelligence briefing from Lieutenant Choi Min. The alien reconnaissance patterns had revealed much about Federation tactical doctrine and technological capabilities. More importantly, they had revealed weaknesses. Their ships are heavily dependent on energy shields, Choi Min reported. They appear to have little experience with kinetic weapons. Most galactic civilizations seem to favor energy-based combat systems. Dr. Kim Bio looked up from her analysis of alien communications. That makes sense. Energy weapons are more efficient over long distances and cause lateral damage. But they require enormous power generation and sophisticated targeting systems. While kinetic weapons are simple, effective, and nearly impossible to defend against if you do not expect them, Captain Li Wu added thoughtfully, the pieces of humanity's strategy were falling into place. The aliens saw what they expected to see and prepared for the kind of resistance they had encountered before. But humanity had spent over a century preparing for this moment, and they had prepared for a very different kind of war. As the fourth day ended, the Federation ships maintained their patient observation. Ambassador Veltar was pleased with what his scouts reported. Humanity appeared to be a typical primitive species with basic space capabilities and limited military strength. The coming trial period would be routine and successful. He had no idea that every scan his ships made was providing humanity with detailed information about Federation weaknesses while revealing nothing about human capabilities. The trap was set, and soon it would spring. The morning of the 8th day brought humanity's first real test. Ambassador Veltar's voice echoed across Luna Station's communication systems with what sounded like regret but felt like anticipation. Captain Li Wu, we have received your government's request for more time to consider our offer. The Federation Council has reviewed this request and made a decision. We will begin the standard evaluation process to help your species understand what membership offers. Captain Li Wu kept his voice steady despite knowing what was coming. What does this evaluation involve, Ambassador? 3 of our member species will conduct training exercises near your colonies. This will demonstrate Federation military capabilities while testing your defensive responses. Do not worry, Captain. These are low-intensity operations designed to minimize casualties while providing valuable learning experiences. Dr. Kim Bio, who had been monitoring alien communications for days, looked up with alarm. The intercepted messages told a different story than the ambassador's diplomatic words. This was not a training exercise. It was the first phase of conquest designed to break human resistance before it could organize. Lieutenant Choi Min's screens lit up with new contacts as Federation ships moved from their observation positions toward human colonies. 3 separate fleets approached Mars Colony, Europa Station, and the asteroid mining facilities at Ceres. Each fleet consisted of ships that dwarfed anything humanity was supposed to possess. Orders, Captain. Commander Park Jin asked quietly. Captain Li Wu activated secure communications to all human defensive commands. Execute Protocol Omega. All units are cleared to engage but maintain the facade until Phase 2 authorization. Across the solar system, human commanders received the signal they had trained for their entire careers. Captain Osung led the Mars Defense Fleet from his flagship that looked like it had been built in a scrapyard. His ships moved to intercept the approaching Federation vessels with what appeared to be desperate courage, the Federation commander leading. The Mars attack was Admiral Kethver of the Mordian Empire. His species had conquered dozens of worlds for the Federation, and he expected this operation to follow the usual pattern. The primitive humans would resist bravely for a few hours, before surrendering when they realized the futility of fighting superior technology. Begin the demonstration, Admiral Kethver commanded as his ships entered weapons range. Federation energy beams lanced out toward the human defensive positions around Mars. The weapons were set to partial power as required for training exercises. But they still packed enough force to cripple most civilizations' military assets. What happened next confused every alien sensor operator in the fleet. The energy beams struck human ships and simply vanished. No explosions marked successful hits. No debris fields showed destroyed vessels. The primitive human craft continued flying as if the most advanced weapons in the galaxy had not touched them at all. Sensor malfunction? Admiral Kethver demanded of his technical staff. No, sir. Direct hits confirmed on multiple targets. Energy transfer readings show complete absorption with no reflection or deflection. Their hull materials are absorbing our weapons completely. Captain Osung smiled grimly as Federation fire proved useless against human defensive technology. Humanity had spent decades analyzing intercepted alien communications and developing specific countermeasures. Federation energy weapons were powerful, but they followed predictable patterns that human science had learned to neutralize. Return fire, he ordered. Make it look desperate but effective. Human ships unleashed kinetic weapons that Federation sensors barely detected until impact. Solid metal projectiles accelerated to incredible velocities, struck Federation energy shields, and punched through them like paper. The aliens had never encountered weapons that ignored their primary defensive systems. Admiral Kethver watched in shock as his shields failed against primitive projectile weapons. How are they penetrating our defenses? Their technology level should not allow this. At Europa Station, Commander Nam Ki faced a similar Federation test with similar results. His defensive fleet looked like a collection of mining vessels and cargo haulers pressed into military service. The Federation attackers expected easy victory against such obviously inadequate forces. Instead, they found human ships that moved with impossible agility despite their crude appearance. Federation targeting systems designed to track energy signatures could not lock onto vessels that used entirely different propulsion principles. Human ships seemed to dance between enemy fire while their own weapons found their targets with disturbing accuracy. "Sir, the humans are using pure kinetic drives with no energy emissions," reported the Federation tactical officer. "Our sensors cannot maintain targeting locks." "Then use wide-area bombardment," the Federation commander ordered. "Saturate their flight paths." But even massive energy discharges failed to stop the human defenders. Their ships absorbed incredible amounts of punishment while continuing to fight with determination that impressed even veteran Federation officers. More disturbing still, the humans seemed to understand Federation tactical doctrine better than they should. Commander Nam Ki coordinated his defense with precision that came from decades of studying alien combat recordings. Every Federation move had been analyzed and countered years before this battle began. His ships responded to enemy tactics before the aliens fully implemented them. At the Ceres mining facility, the 3rd Federation Test Force encountered the most shocking resistance. Yet what appeared to be converted cargo haulers and industrial equipment fought with tactical sophistication that rivaled the Federation's elite units. Human commanders anticipated alien strategies and responded with countermeasures that should not have existed. Major Yunhei coordinated the 3 defensive actions from his command center deep within the asteroid belt. His screens showed Federation fleets being held off by forces they should have crushed within minutes. The alien commanders were requesting reinforcements and reporting anomalous readings that made no sense according to their understanding of human capabilities. "Phase 1 complete," he reported to Admiral Han Sol. "All Federation test forces have been engaged and contained. They are confused and requesting guidance from their commanders." Admiral Han Sol watched the tactical displays with satisfaction. The Federation had expected to demonstrate overwhelming superiority while facing token resistance. Instead, they faced defensive systems that countered their technology and tactical approaches they could not understand. "Excellent, Major. Signal all units to prepare for a Phase 2. The aliens will escalate soon and we need to be ready to reveal the next level of our capabilities." Ambassador Veltar received the confused reports from his military commanders with growing concern. The humans were not responding according to established patterns. Their resistance was too organized and their technology too effective for a species that had supposedly just achieved spaceflight. "Continue the exercises," he ordered despite his doubts. "Increase intensity to Level 2 authorization." The real test was about to begin. The Federation reinforcement fleet arrived exactly as human intelligence had predicted. Admiral Kethver had requested additional ships to deal with unexpectedly effective human resistance, but what emerged from hyperspace made every alien commander question their understanding of warfare itself. 12 pristine vessels materialized in the space between Mars and the asteroid belt. Unlike the crude-looking human ships that had been holding off, Federation forces, these new arrivals gleamed with perfect engineering. Their hulls showed no battle damage or hasty repairs. Every line spoke of advanced technology that surpassed anything the aliens had encountered. Admiral Han Sol stood in the command center of her flagship, watching the alien reactions on intercepted communications. The time for deception had ended. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what they had really been building during their centuries of preparation. All units, this is Admiral Hansel, execute Phase 2 revelation. Show them what human engineering actually looks like. Across the solar system, the crude exterior panels fell away from human defensive ships, revealing the gleaming advanced hulls beneath. What the Federation had thought were desperate conversions of civilian vessels were actually sophisticated warships designed to appear primitive. The transformation shocked alien sensor operators who suddenly detected energy signatures that exceeded their most advanced battleships. Captain Li Te commanded the human flagship, indomitable spirit as it shed its disguise and revealed its true form. The ship that had appeared to be a converted cargo hauler was actually a cutting-edge dreadnought armed with weapons that operated on principles Federation science considered impossible. Open communications with the Federation fleet, she ordered. Her bridge crew, the main screen activated showing the interior of an alien bridge where uniformed figures stared in obvious shock. Captain Li Te kept her voice calm and professional as she delivered humanity's message to the galaxy. Federation forces, this is Captain Li Te of the Human Defense Fleet. What you have witnessed today is a small demonstration of human defensive capabilities. We have been monitoring galactic civilization for over 100 years and have developed our technology accordingly. Admiral Kethver found his voice despite his shock. Impossible. Our intelligence indicated your species had barely achieved interplanetary flight. Your technology appeared primitive and limited. Your intelligence saw exactly what we wanted you to see, Admiral. Humanity has been aware of the Federation's expansion patterns for decades. We studied your methods of contact, evaluation, and conquest. Every installation you observed was designed to match your expectations of a primitive species. Dr. Yang Su had prepared this revelation carefully. Human psychologists had analyzed Federation behavior patterns and determined the exact moment when truth would have maximum impact. The aliens needed to understand they had been manipulated from the first moment of contact. The mining operations on Mars are real, Admiral, but they feed manufacturing facilities that your scans never detected. The defensive platforms you cataloged as minimal threats are actually sophisticated weapon systems operating in passive mode. Every human colony you evaluated has military capabilities that exceed your most optimistic estimates. The Federation commanders struggled to process this information. Their entire evaluation process had been turned against them by a species they had dismissed as technologically inferior. Worse still, they were beginning to realize the true scope of human preparation. Captain Oh-Sung revealed the full capabilities of his Mars defense fleet as sophisticated stealth systems deactivated. Ships that had appeared cobbled together from scrap metal transformed into sleek predators armed with weapons that bent space itself. Federation sensors detected energy readings that violated their understanding of physics. How long have you been preparing for this contact? Admiral Kethver asked with growing dread. Since 1923, when we first intercepted Federation communications, Captain Li Te replied. Your empire is not as subtle as you believe, Admiral. We have been listening to your transmissions, studying your technology, and preparing for this moment for over a century. The revelation hit the Federation forces like a physical blow. Humanity had not just achieved spaceflight in recent decades. They had been secretly developing advanced technology while maintaining the appearance of a primitive civilization. Every assumption about human capabilities had been deliberately crafted deception. Commander Nam Ki at Europa Station demonstrated human mobility systems that allowed his ships to move through space in ways Federation science said were impossible. Inertially's drives eliminated the acceleration limitations that restricted alien vessels while human ships maneuvered with the agility of atmospheric fighters in the vacuum of space. Your tactical doctrine assumes opponents who follow the same technological development path as your member species, Commander Nam Ki explained during the open communications. You expect energy weapons, energy shields, and conventional propulsion systems. Humanity deliberately chose different approaches specifically to counter Federation advantages. Major Yun He coordinated the revelation from his command post in the asteroid belt. Human installations throughout the solar system dropped. Their camouflage and revealed defensive systems that dwarfed anything in the Federation arsenal. Weapons platforms that had appeared to be simple mining equipment transformed into massive artillery capable of destroying entire fleets. The Galactic Federation has contacted 47 civilizations in the past 2 centuries, he announced. On all frequencies, every species followed the same pattern of initial resistance followed by submission and absorption. Humanity studied those patterns and chose a different path. Federation sensor operators reported readings that made no sense according to their training. Human ships demonstrated faster-than-light communication systems that operated instantaneously across the solar system. Their weapons showed precision targeting that ignored traditional countermeasures, while their defensive systems absorbed energy levels that should have vaporized any known material. Admiral Veltar, listening from his diplomatic vessel, finally understood the magnitude of Federation miscalculation. You have been planning this deception since first contact. Not deception, Ambassador, Captain Lite corrected. Preparation. We knew the Federation would eventually make contact, and we spent that time getting ready. What you see now is not our full capability. This is simply our response to your initial evaluation. The words sent chills through every alien commander. If this overwhelming display of technology was merely humanity's opening move, what did their full military capability look like? The Federation had protocols for dealing with primitive species and advanced civilizations, but nothing prepared them for opponents who had spent generations specifically preparing to fight them. What do you want from us? Ambassador Veltar asked. Nothing, Ambassador. We want you to leave our solar system and report to your superiors that humanity declines Federation membership. We prefer to remain independent. The Federation does not accept refusal of membership. Species that reject our guidance face consequences? Captain Lite's expression hardened. Then you should know, Admiral, that what you have seen today represents less than 5% of human military capability. We hoped diplomatic withdrawal would be possible, but we prepared for the alternative. The communication ended, leaving Federation forces to contemplate an impossible situation. They faced opponents who had turned the Federation's own evaluation process into a strategic advantage while developing technology that exceeded galactic standards. Worse still, the humans claimed this was only a small demonstration of their true power. Admiral Kethver stared at his tactical displays, showing human ships that shouldn't exist using weapons that violated known physics. The evaluation that should have taken hours to complete successfully had become a nightmare that threatened the Federation's reputation throughout the galaxy. The facade had fallen and humanity stood revealed, but what they had revealed was more terrifying than anything the Federation had ever encountered. The message that went out across Federation space networks carried the weight of desperate pride. Admiral Kefera's report spoke of human deception and technological superiority that threatened everything the Federation represented within hours. The largest military mobilization in galactic history began as dozens of species contributed ships to crush humanity before their example could inspire other civilizations. Fleet. Admiral Baywan stood before the holographic display in Earth's deepest command center, watching the massive alien fleet assemble at the edge of the solar system. Her weathered face showed no fear as she counted over 3,000 Federation warships, including dreadnoughts, the size of cities and planet-killing weapons that had conquered entire star systems. Status report from all sectors, she commanded. Director Lindu approached with the coordination data from humanity's hidden installations. His calm voice carried the weight of centuries of preparation. All Colossus-class vessels report ready for deployment, Admiral. Final system checks complete on all weapons platforms. Earth's primary defensive grid shows full operational status. The Federation fleet that hung in space beyond Pluto represented the combined military might of 47 conquered civilizations. Energy signatures from their largest ships could be detected from the inner planets. Their formations stretched across millions of kilometers as admirals from a dozen species coordinated the assault that would end human resistance permanently. Admiral Veltar commanded the fleet from his flagship. a massive construct that served as both warship and mobile space station. His communications reached every ship in the formation as he prepared to demonstrate why no species had ever successfully resisted Federation membership. All forces prepare for final assault. Target priority is complete destruction of human military assets followed by occupation of their primary colonies. Show no mercy. This species has humiliated the Federation and must serve as an example to others who might consider resistance. But as the Federation fleet moved toward the inner solar system, something emerged from the shadow of Earth that made their massive armada suddenly seem inadequate. The first Colossus-class ship appeared as a dark silhouette against the planet before its running lights revealed a vessel larger than most Federation space stations. The UES Terra's Pride stretched nearly 20 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull incorporated materials that absorbed sensor scans while radiating energy signatures that spoke of power sources beyond Federation understanding. Weapon ports along its sides could accommodate artillery pieces larger than most Federation frigates. Captain Song Hyo commanded the Pride from a bridge that resembled the command center of a small city. Her screens showed the approaching Federation fleet as thousands of contacts moving with the confidence of inevitable victory. What they could not see were the 11 other Colossus-class vessels emerging from hidden positions throughout the solar system. All Colossus units report deployment complete, she announced to Fleet Admiral Bae-won. Federation fleet is within optimal engagement range, awaiting authorization to reveal primary assets. The Federation sensors detected the 12 massive human ships with growing alarm. Each Colossus-class vessel showed energy readings that exceeded their largest dreadnoughts while demonstrating maneuverability that should have been impossible for ships of such size. But the humans were not finished with their revelations. From Earth's shadow came something that defied every assumption about ship construction and power generation. The UES Terra's wrath emerged like a small moon given purpose and direction. At nearly 50 kilometers in length, it dwarfed even the Colossus-class vessels while radiating energy signatures that registered off every scale in the Federation fleet. Admiral Veltar stared at his tactical displays, unable to process what his sensors reported. The single human ship approaching his fleet massed more than his 10 largest dreadnoughts combined while showing weapon signatures that suggested planet-cracking capability. Energy readings indicated power sources that could supply entire star systems. How is this possible? He transmitted on emergency frequencies to Federation Command. Intelligence reported a primitive species with limited industrial capacity. This ship alone represents construction resources that should have taken centuries to accumulate. Fleet Admiral Bae-won smiled grimly as she watched Federation formations hesitate in the face of humanity's revealed power. The Terra's wrath had been under construction for over 200 years using resources mined from the outer solar system and technologies developed in complete secrecy. It represented the absolute pinnacle of human engineering and the culmination of their preparation for galactic contact. Admiral Veltar, this is Fleet Admiral Bae, one commanding human defensive forces, she transmitted across all frequencies. You have seen a small fraction of humanity's true capabilities. Withdraw your fleet now, and this matter can end peacefully. The Federation does not retreat from primitive species. Regardless of their technological tricks, Admiral Veltar replied with desperate bravado. Your ships may be large, but they are untested against proven Federation tactics developed over centuries of conquest. As you wish, Admiral, all human forces are cleared to engage. Demonstrate why the Federation should have chosen diplomacy over intimidation. The Terra's wrath activated weapon systems that had never been tested at full power. Energy readings spiked to levels that interfered with Federation communications as massive artillery pieces emerged from concealed positions along the ship's hull. Each weapon was larger than most Federation destroyers and designed to crack the crust of planets. Captain Song Hyo coordinated the Colossus-class vessels as they surrounded the Federation fleet in a formation that maximized their overlapping fields of fire. 12 ships moved with perfect coordination despite their enormous size. while human smaller craft took defensive positions that protected Earth and the inner colonies. "Federation fleet, you are surrounded and outgunned," Captain Song Hyo announced calmly. "Surrender now, and your crews will be treated according to galactic conventions of war." Admiral Veltar's response was to order the attack he should have avoided. All ships engage the human formation. Show these primitives the price of defying galactic civilization. 3,000 Federation warships opened fire simultaneously with weapons that had destroyed the defenses of worlds. Energy beams that could melt mountains struck human shields and simply vanished as defensive systems absorbed and redirected the incoming power. Missiles that could crack moons detonated harmlessly against barriers that turned nuclear fire into usable energy. The human response was measured and devastating. The Terra's Wrath fired a single artillery barrage that erased 12 Federation dreadnoughts in one coordinated salvo. The Colossus-Class vessels demonstrated precision targeting that destroyed enemy ships while leaving their neighbors untouched. Federation formations that had seemed overwhelming moments before began dissolving under fire that exceeded their worst tactical nightmares. "Impossible," Admiral Veltar screamed as his tactical displays showed Federation losses mounting with horrifying speed. "No species possesses technology this advanced. Where did they acquire such weapons?" Director Limdu, monitoring the battle from Earth, answered the question that echoed across Federation communication networks. "Every species the Federation conquered contributed to our knowledge, Admiral. We studied your victories, learned from your defeated opponents, and spent 2 centuries developing countermeasures for your tactics. You taught us everything we needed to know to defeat you." The Federation fleet that had assembled to crush human resistance was being systematically destroyed by opponents who understood their weaknesses better than they understood themselves. Worse still, the humans were demonstrating restraint that suggested they possessed even greater capabilities they had not yet revealed. As Federation ships exploded or surrendered across the battlefield, Admiral Veltar finally understood the true scope of human preparation. This was not a desperate last stand by a primitive species. It was a carefully orchestrated demonstration by apex predators, who had spent generations preparing for this exact moment. The trial period was over and humanity had passed with devastating success. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes and 12 seconds. When the firing stopped, over 2,000 Federation ships drifted as wreckage in the space between Mars and Jupiter while the survivors desperately transmitted surrender codes. The Terra's Wrath alone had destroyed more vessels than humanity was supposed to possess according to Federation intelligence estimates. Admiral Veltar sat in his damaged command center, watching tactical displays that showed the complete destruction of galactic civilization's most powerful fleet. His flagship had survived only because human gunners had chosen to disable rather than destroy it. The precision required to cripple a ship without killing its crew spoke of targeting systems that exceeded anything in Federation arsenals. Captain Song Hyo coordinated the aftermath from her position aboard the Terra's Wrath. Human ships moved through the debris field, rescuing survivors and providing medical assistance to enemy crews. The same weapons that had devastated the Federation fleet now served humanitarian purposes as humans demonstrated mercy toward defeated opponents. "Admiral Veltar, this is Captain Song Hyo," she transmitted to the crippled Federation flagship. "Your fleet has been defeated, but your crews need not die. We are prepared to provide medical assistance and safe passage home for all survivors." The offer of mercy shocked Federation commanders who had expected execution or enslavement. Every species they had conquered had suffered harsh treatment designed to break resistance and ensure submission. Human behavior violated everything they understood about post-battle protocols. "Why are you helping us?" Admiral Veltar asked as human medical teams boarded his ship to treat wounded crew members. "Because we are not the Federation, Admiral," Captain Song Hyo replied. "We do not conquer species for resources or enslave civilizations. For our labor. We fight only when forced to defend ourselves, and we show mercy to defeated enemies." Fleet Admiral Baewan watched the rescue operations from her command center while preparing humanity's next move. The defeat of the Federation fleet was only the beginning of a transformation that would reshape galactic civilization. What happened next would determine whether the galaxy moved toward freedom or descended into chaos. Director Limdu, prepare. The galactic broadcast, she ordered. It is time to explain to every species in the galaxy what just happened here and what it means for their future. Director Limdu activated communication systems that had been built specifically for this moment. Transmitters hidden throughout the solar system began broadcasting on every frequency used by galactic civilization. The message that went out carried enough power to reach the farthest Federation colonies while bypassing normal communication networks. Citizens of the galaxy, this is Director Limdu speaking for the human species and the Earth government. Today marks the end of Federation expansion and the beginning of a new era of galactic freedom. The broadcast reached billions of beings across thousands of worlds. In Federation space, the message overrode normal programming and appeared on every screen while automated systems translated it into hundreds of languages. For the first time in centuries, subject species heard words that spoke of liberation rather than submission. For over 200 years, the Galactic Federation has presented itself as a peaceful organization dedicated to bringing civilization to primitive species. The reality is far different. The Federation is a colonial empire that uses technological dependence to control client species, while extracting resources and labor for the benefit of its core worlds. On worlds throughout Federation space, subject species looked up from their assigned labors to hear words that gave voice to resentments they had carried for generations. The broadcast provided proof that the Federation could be defeated and that alternatives to submission existed. Humanity has been monitoring galactic civilization since 1923. We have studied Federation expansion methods and developed specific countermeasures for their military and economic control systems. What you witnessed today was not a desperate last stand, but a carefully planned demonstration of human defensive capabilities. Admiral Han Sol coordinated follow-up operations as human ships moved to strategic positions throughout the solar system. The defeat of one Federation fleet would bring retaliation unless humanity moved quickly to consolidate their advantage and support resistance movements across the galaxy. All colonial species currently under Federation control are hereby invited to declare independence, Director Limdu continued. Humanity pledges military and technological support for any civilization that chooses freedom over Federation membership. We will provide defensive systems and development assistance without requiring submission or permanent dependence. The promise sent shockwaves through Federation space as subject species realized they had alternatives to colonial status. On dozens of worlds, resistance movements that had survived underground for centuries began emerging to challenge Federation authority. The example of human victory provided hope that successful rebellion was possible. Captain Lite took command of the human diplomatic mission that would reshape galactic civilization. Her ship carried representatives who would meet with resistance leaders and provide the technical assistance needed to break Federation control systems. More importantly, they carried proof that advanced technology could be shared without creating dependence. The Federation maintains control through economic and technological dependence, she explained to resistance leaders across subspace communication networks. We will teach you to build your own defensive systems and develop your own technologies. Freedom means the ability to choose your own path without external interference. Major Yunhei established the first human embassy on a liberated world just 48 hours after the solar system battle. The planet Kethmara had been a Federation mining colony for over a century, but its population rose in rebellion when they learned that effective resistance was possible. Human technical advisors helped them shut down resource extraction operations while defensive specialists taught them to build weapons that could stop Federation retaliation. Dr. Yang Su led the effort to understand and counter Federation control mechanisms. Her teams worked with liberated species to identify the technological and economic dependencies that kept them bound to Federation systems. More importantly, they developed alternatives that allowed rapid transition to independence. Federation technology is designed to require constant maintenance and replacement parts that only they can provide. She explained to liberation committees across the galaxy. We will teach you to build systems that your own people can maintain and improve without external assistance. The response exceeded human expectations as species after species declared independence from Federation control. The galactic communication networks carried reports of successful rebellions on dozens of worlds, while Federation forces found themselves unable to respond effectively to simultaneous uprisings across their territory, Admiral Veltar transmitted. His final report to Federation High Command from the human medical facility where his crew was recovering. The message he sent would end his career, but it contained truths that galactic leadership needed to understand. The Federation has suffered total strategic defeat, he reported. Human technological capabilities exceed our most advanced systems by centuries. Worse still, they have inspired galaxy-wide rebellion by proving that our control can be broken. Recommend immediate negotiation for peaceful coexistence before complete collapse of Federation authority. But the message arrived too late to prevent the chain reaction that was already reshaping galactic civilization. Species that had been suppressed for generations threw off Federation control while human advisors provided the tools needed to maintain independence. The colonial empire that had dominated the galaxy for centuries crumbled in weeks as its foundation of forced dependence dissolved. Director Park Soon oversaw the construction of humanity's next-generation fleet from shipyards that no longer needed to remain hidden. The Colossus and Dreadnought class vessels that had terrified the Federation were revealed as merely the first phase of human naval development. New ships incorporating even more advanced technologies would ensure that no species would ever again face conquest alone. The galaxy has learned that freedom is possible, Fleet Admiral Baywan announced at the dedication of humanity's first open shipyard. Our children will grow up in a universe where species choose their own destinies without fear of subjugation or control. The new galactic order that emerged from human intervention was based on cooperation rather than domination. Free species shared knowledge and resources while maintaining independence and cultural identity. The Federation's dream of unified galactic civilization survived, but in a form its founders never intended. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it, and in doing so ensured that the stars would belong to all species rather than just the strongest.